Thank you for tuning in to the channel today. I've got a very special guest, and I've been changing the way we're going to do some things with the channel. And I reached out to some friends. I was looking for very successful real estate entrepreneurs around Los Angeles that I could come into their office, get them to sit down and do a video with us. And I got very lucky in that a friend of mine connected me with Stephen Shapiro. He's one of the partners of Westside Estates Agency, a premier residential real estate firm in Beverly Hills and Malibu. So Stephen, thank you for coming on today.
You're welcome, Joseph.
Yeah, we're going to call me Joseph too. I just got in trouble recently and I got called Joseph by one of the people here. So I'm going by my full name, just like my mother used to do when I got in trouble. So Stephen, let's talk about your company. You've built something special here.
Westside Estate Agency. We started in 1999.
99.
And the idea was not to be a generalist and be helping everybody, but to be specializing in the high end and the ultra high end market.
Don't most companies come in and focus on the lower end first and then you work your way up to high end?
The big ones for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger market.
The big ones that have, hundreds and hundreds of agents, they can't get hundreds of agents to sell very expensive homes.
Right. Because your average sales price last year was over $12 million.
Correct.
That's astonishing.
Yeah,
that's a
pretty
big
high.
number.
I think it's probably the highest in the country.
Right. Yeah. Now you do service. You're in Malibu and Beverly Hills. Are we looking at any other offices in the near future?
No, we are not.
Okay. You're happy with where you're at.
We are specialists, not generalists.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about you as a real estate entrepreneur. What led you down this path?
Well, what led me initially was when I moved here in, let's say, the early 70s, I was looking for an apartment. And at the time, the way you looked for an apartment was with ads in the LA Times.
Yeah. I remember those days.
The ads sounded great until you looked at the apartment and they bore no resemblance to what the ad expressed. So I started a company, this is way back, called Scan-A-Pad, and we took 35 millimeter color slides of all the apartments that we gathered together, and we offered a service to the tenants. This is before computers, it was punch card system. So we offered a service to the tenants where they would come in and tell us 2-bedroom, I have a dog or I have a kid or whatever it was. We'd punch it into the punch card system and the cards would pop up and indicate what tray the slides were on. And then they'd be able to look at the actual interior and exterior of that apartment. And if they liked it, we would make an introductory slip, send them to the manager of the building. And if they rented an apartment, we got a third of the first month's rent.
Okay.
And it was great for a while. At one point, we were handling about 250 requests a day. And then in a relatively short period of time, the vacancy factor disappeared.
Right. And
the landlords didn't need to pay us a third of a first month's rent to find them a tenant.
At least yourself out of work, huh?
Well, but then I segued into the Beverly Hills market, where brokers were not paying attention to high-end people who were here for short terms, such as musicians or actors, whether it be TV or movies, who were coming here to do a job, but were only going to be here for 3 months or 6 months. So opened a company called The Moving Experience. And we did that, and that was pretty successful too. We probably had 5 or 6 different agents that were specializing in high price leasing. And from there, Jack Douglas wanted me to be his leasing arm. And, we became friends. I became the leasing arm till it became complicated.
Yeah.
Each time he opened an office, he would say, well, I don't want you to take your percentage off of this office. Right, it's a small, whatever the story was. We remained friends, but I left and joined Stan Herman, who he and I shared a lot of clients together, me for leasing, him for sales. And we started bringing the two groups together. And, I started selling houses then, and ultimately acquired half of that business. It became Stan Herman, Stephen Shapiro and Associates. And at the end of the 90s, when the business was becoming computerized, Stan was essentially retired. He didn't want to invest in computers. He didn't want to go along with the increasing commission splits to agents. So Kurt was my number one, Kurt Rappaport was my number one salesman at the time. And I said to Kurt, you and I go and open this office that specializes in high-priced sales. And that was how West Side Estate Agency started in 1999.
So you're a typical entrepreneur. You just went, no business plan, just this is where I'm going. This is what
to the next thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's not uncommon. What did Kurt bring to the table that you saw in him? Just the sales ability?
Well, he's very smart. He had incredible knowledge of the Beverly Hills community, having grown up here. You could give him an address and he would tell you the lot size and who owned the house and when it last traded. And he went to SC, which is famous for connections.
Sure, yeah.
And he was able to network with a lot of people, which he still does, but his network became even greater.
Kept increasing. So now are you the operations guy and Kurt's kind of the face, or do you guys share duties? How did you set that up?
We didn't set it up in any particular way. I am basically the operations because I'm not as successful as he is. Because I choose not to be. I don't want a lot of listings.
Right.
So I only take the number of listings that I can personally service and spend time with. He has tons of listings, tons of success. I do my 3-4 listings at a time, and subsequently spend more time in the office handling the business end of the company.
Now, I was just talking to your manager out here, Colin Keenan. Colin said you guys have really done some growth the last couple of years.
We've done growth since Colin's been here. I've had various different general managers, none of who are of the caliber of Colin, and he has hired probably 15, 20 new agents since he's been here.
He's good.
And led us through COVID and all the difficulties that the business has seen in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, an entrepreneur needs that good, stable person managing that day to day for them, and it really can help a lot. When you guys are out there recruiting, and maybe this is more of a question for Colin than you, what are you looking for in an agent? What do you say? You know what, this is a trait that I really need because I've got this premier company and I don't want it to get washed out. And what do I need?
Well, it is more Colin than me, but from my perspective, before Colin was here, I would look for people with a hook, either educationally, family, anybody that had an inroad to business. Because if you don't, you're likely not to do any business.
Right.
It's the real estate business. Residential is very strange in that I'm doing this for 40 years, yet my commission rate is the same as somebody that got their license last week, which is unlike any other business.
Sure.
If you're a lawyer and your first job out of law school, you're getting $250 an hour or whatever your billing rate is. As you exceed in the business, you move up to 500, 750, 1,000, 2,000. But us poor suckers in this business, we're the same as the guy that just got out of Lumlow real estate school.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and you've seen a lot of companies come and go, and I think there's going to be a couple that we both know that are probably going to go fairly soon. They're going to be either acquired or they're going to have to do something. Um, what is your future? What's it look like for Westside Estates Agency?
Our future is that in our level of the business, it's still hand holding.
Yeah.
And it's taking people to the property, walking them through the property. It's not an I buy situation.
Right.
The successful agent will never be replaced by technology.
Right.
So we feel very confident that our niche of the business will continue the way it has been.
Yeah, and I just think you've built a brand that is just very powerful in this community, and that's something that I think younger entrepreneurs need to understand is building this brand. Obviously, start launching when you did, but it's taken time. But that brand is key.
Well, you have to. What new people don't do today is try and build a foundation.
Yeah.
They come into the business and they say, I want to sell a $5 million house.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen that way. The way I started, I built a foundation leasing apartments, then leasing homes before I got into sales. So by doing that, I was able to do many more transactions than if I said, I'm only going to sell a $5 million home. So I was able to do multiple transactions a month and deal with business managers of these wealthy people so that I had experience in not only doing the transactions, but in dealing with the people that control the money.
Right.
And today people don't want to put in the effort. I've had successful people here that have said, give me anything, give me a $300,000 condo and I'll work it. I'd like to see more people like that, but we rarely do.
We see that in commercial too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They want to come in and do the big, I want 10,000 square foot office, or well, probably not office right now, but retail, or a $20,000 multifamily deal. And, that takes time to build up to that, the market knowledge. And, you got to come into this industry with patience.
Why would somebody trust a novice without experience when for the same price you're getting somebody with real expertise?
Like Kurt and yourself. I mean, you just said earlier that he knew everything about it, and that's why you wanted to work with him, because he knew the market. And that's a problem that we're seeing in commercial real estate is a lot of people they're a transactional broker instead of just somebody they're not working in the business. They know what's going on in the community, but they don't know their community.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to get out there and know your community. And I can guarantee you can walk down the street with you right now, and we're going to run in. If we walk 3 blocks, you're around 4 or 5 people.
Oh, I one of my Malibu agents was pitching a listing on Carbon Beach, and I went with he and the client and walked down Carbon Beach and pointed. I sold this house. I sold this house. I sold this house. I sold this house. So experience is critical.
Yeah.
And the only way to get experience is to work your way up.
Yeah. And a good mentor. I mean, it's, that can help too. But the experience is a key. Finding a good mentor can help move things along a little bit faster. But now I know you're busy today, so I don't want to take too much of your time. Can you give us one good story, one funny story that you've had doing a showing or a celebrity experience that we can share with our audience?
My memory doesn't normally work that way. One funny story was I was trying to show a house in Beverly Hills Post Office, like a $5 million house. And, I had called, 3, 4 times and never got a response from the seller. So went up to show the house. The door is unlocked.
Oh,
we go in and walking around the house and the bedroom door is closed. And we open the bedroom door because we're shouting, anybody home? Anybody home? Don't hear anything. Open the bedroom door and the guy's in there with 4 women in bed. And it was It was an immediate turnaround and run out the door.
I can imagine.
And my client did not buy the house.
I'm sure he didn't. Wow. Disinfect, then.
But memorable for sure.
Yeah, you won't forget that one.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen, thank you very much for doing this today.
My pleasure.
I'm going to put up some
Joseph.
of Stephen's listings at the end here, so you guys can really check out what they're doing here. This company is phenomenal. They've been through a lot over the years. They're still here, going to be here for a long time. And man, do you know how many listings off the top of your head you guys have right now?
I think probably in the 60 range.
Wow. And the price point you're
In the
working,
60
that's hundreds of millions of dollars.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, I would say.
I think we're well into the over $1 billion.
Yeah, well, very impressive. All right, well, we're going to put some photos up here so you can check it out. Thank you for watching. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again soon.